Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Today we've got something a little special. Well, I think it's special anyway. I've been after this for ages, purely just on the way it looks. I'm a bit disappointed that it's not four-wheel drive, because the original car, the NSU Prince 1000 TT, was four-wheel drive, but we've got this. So I've got a couple of upgrades for it already. I've got the CVA mini shocks, which I hope are the ones that are for it, so that's good, because the friction shocks, I'm not having it bouncing around. I mean, it handles bad enough being front wheel drive. I'll probably later put it on, if I can, the M-05X. I'll probably put it on that. I'm looking at getting a M-08, which is a rear wheel drive I believe, or the M-07, which is front wheel drive. This chassis I wouldn't mind converting to a mini, with it being front wheel drive. So this is front wheel drive, but it's a four wheel drive car, which is a shame, but got it from Make It Build It. Got some bearings for it, got a Spectrum receiver, and your good old trusty eBay 25 kilogram servo. So let's have a look in the box. So here we go boys, here's the contents of the box. There's not much in it. Obviously it's just a two-wheel drive, so it's, you know, only one gearbox. CVA minis, obviously, instead of using the friction shocks. Front gear diff. I don't know why Tamiya is still selling these. I mean, it's 2021 and still giving us plastic bushings. I don't know. Wheels. They're the same wheels as the Tamiya Beetle on the MF01X chassis. Slicks. Now you can see there's no body. That's because I've already done the body. I like to get that done first, and I was waiting for parts to come. So stay tuned till the end, see what it looks like. And just a little side note, they do a version 2 of this chassis, which has the square holders for the traditional lipos, but I luckily found these, which are 2S lipos, but in the traditional shape. So you use them on all my Tamiyas, fit in nice. I'm not sure what I'm going to do regarding ESC and motor for this. I like to put a max 10 and 4000 kV, but probably a bit too much for this car, but I like to put them in all my cars because they're just easy to get hold of. I used to get Trackmaster from Hobby King, but parcel waiting for them to come, so I'll probably just put the standard ESC in it for now, set up the servo and the radio gear and all that. So let's get into it. First of all, we're going to start with step 1, which is doing the front gearbox, attaching C14, D3 and A4 and A3 to, I think is the rear section. So get that done first. So step 1 done. The left hand side, the rear module, just leave this loose so you can get the servo in, this little thing. Now we're going to move on to step 2. I'm really gutted I haven't got a aluminium motor mount, but unfortunately it wouldn't have come here in time for the build. To be honest with you, I think this car is just going to be kept as a shelf queen until they get a proper four-wheel drive chassis for it, so it's not the end of the world. So there's steps 1 and 2 done. Now we're on to the diffs. Pretty simple to do. Don't forget, grease the washer, plenty of grease in there. Tighten it up with the little BA8s. So get that done next. There we go guys, step 4, front wishbones, and step 5, attaching the gears in the half of the chassis. Now we'll move on to step 6, which is installing the diff and screwing the both halves of the chassis together. So I'll do that next. So step 7, which is attaching the front arms and the drive cups to the front diff, is all done. Now we move on to step 8, which is creating the front axles. So I'll get that finished in a minute. So step 8, the front axles done. Easy to do. Now we're moving on to step 9, which is attaching the front axles to the chassis. So there we go guys, the front arms on the chassis. They're a little bit stiff, but I can always file them down. Next we're moving on to the steering assembly. Now the good thing about this, the fact that it's ball raced, because I've got ball races for the car. I've heard that this is a good upgrade to get the aluminium steering rack, steering linkage for this. You can get it on RCMar pretty cheap. I'm going to get this built, see how it goes, and then if I want to spend some more money on it, I might invest in some Ali parts. So let's get the steering assembly all built and put on. There you go guys, step 10 is finished. Don't feel too bad. It's meant to be really sloppy, a lot of playing it, but I don't know if it's got bearings in or what, but it doesn't feel that bad. Like I say, there's an aluminium upgrade for it, which is really handy to get, which I might get, but we'll see. So next we're going to be putting the motor and the pinion on. You get a little adapter so you get the distance right. So I'll do that next. There we go guys, motor in, just use the stock 540 until get some dough, get a max 10 in it maybe if I decide to run it. But yeah, very front heavy. So I can imagine that back end's going to skid about a lot, which could be interesting. I've never drove a front wheel drive RC before, so hopefully it'll be exciting. Next is step 13, which is making the friction shocks, but I'll be using mini CVAs, so get that done next. So when you're building up the shocks, when you put your first piston in, fill it up with oil, and then as you're going along they'll drain out all the bubbles. So you'll see bubbles rise to the top after a period of time. It's good to wait just to take that extra time because it just gets the shocks set up properly, so always do that. When you tighten the top on, do it in a rag, put the diaphragm in, put the top on, and you want it so that you don't get any bounce back. So that's perfect. Do that on all four. And there we go boys, step 14 done. The front suspension on, the front bumper. Yeah, it's feeling nice. It's a bit stiff. You only in the instructions for the CVA dampers it says only to use the diaphragm with one hole in it. It's a bit stiff, but I can always change it up. Perfect length. So perfect length. Feels nice. Now we're moving on to step 15, which is starting to put the rear assembly together. So I'll do that, which is the arms, the centre section, the under bit, and I'll get all that done in one go, so that'll be step 15 finished. So there we go boys, step 15 done. I believe we're going for the medium chassis length, so it shows you how to do it differently. It's quite interesting how it changes from medium to small. It's just basically you turn this round and it sends the arms like a quarter of an inch forward. So that's good. It's growing on me, this chassis, I must admit. So here's something to read. The text is probably a little bit too small for you, but chassis can be assembled in either short, medium or long. So because I didn't read the instructions, this took a lot of faffing about. You basically want to do the medium and then skip all that and go to the L section, because I think I read on the internet that this is a long wheelbase, so hopefully I'm done it right. So now we're going to move on to step 16, which is attaching the damper stabilizer. The damper stay at the top, the arms are already done, and then mount them on the chassis. Hubs are already on, got them done, so we'll just get the shocks on, and that's pretty much it for that step. So there we go boys, step 18 is finished. Got the rear end all done. Took a few attempts to get it right, but got there in the end. So next we're moving on to fitting the radio gear, the ESC and all that good stuff. So we'll come back when I've got all that in. There you go guys, 19, 20, 21, all the electronics in. Lovely jubbly. Now we're going to move on to assembling the tyres, putting the tyres on, doing the rear hubs. Surely there's two bearings in there. Yeah, I would have thought, yeah, it's two bearings, yeah. Yeah, so do that. And then we'll move on to the body posts. So there you go guys, that's it finished. I am pleasantly surprised. Something a bit different. It's quite an old kit, but I just seen it, and that German, you know, small German compact 2-door, just had to get it. So I'm definitely go with the CVA shocks. I'm surprised how like good it is. I mean, I know it's 2-wheel drive and it's, you know, it's not the best performance, but I'm made up of it. So I bet you want to see what the body on, with the body on. Let's get the body. So there you go guys, all finished. Isn't it a nice looking kit? I done the orange and then I backed it in black because I didn't really want it to be like really like bright orange. Used window tint on the windows. Yeah, if you made it this far, thanks for tuning in. Drop us a like and a subscribe if you want to. I always like communicating with my followers and stuff. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next video. Either be a build video or a running video, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching. See ya.